What gives?
A women's basketball player. She deserves it. She deserves
it. And this is wild. Nike has at last apologized to Caitlin Clark after being quiet for months. Yep, the very same Caitlin Clark who's been shattering WNBA records and ruling on the court like nobody else. This mea culpa arrived as a massive ad spread all over the Indiana Fever Arena, with none other than Caitlin herself as the star. Sounds like a fairy tale ending, no?
Not so fast.
NBA, yes. Do I think if A'ja Wilson dropped a shoe and Caitlin Clark dropped a shoe today at the very same time, that Caitlin Clark would outsell A'ja's shoe by 100 times? Yes, I think that would be the case.
Before we get into the details, let's
outsell A'ja's shoe 100-fold. Yes, I believe that would be the situation. Before we get to the specifics, let's turn back the clock. Caitlin Clark, among the most luminous stars in basketball now, signed a giant 8-year, $28 million endorsement contract with Nike. That's true, $28 million. You would expect Nike to be totally behind her, marketing her and ensuring she's the image of their brand, correct?
Has come and gone. And with that, Nike has not done one thing to promote her. We have not seen any commercials, we have not seen any ads, we have not seen any Caitlin Clark merchandise, and we for sure as hell have not seen any Caitlin Clark.
So what was Nike's move? Next to nothing. Zero ads, zero commercials, zero new shoes. Not. It was as if they'd forgotten they signed one of the biggest names in basketball. Fans began to wonder, why was Nike overlooking its own superstar? This was not a small oversight either. It seemed like Nike was ignoring Caitlin despite the immense hype around her. Then, suddenly, Adidas jumps in. The word was that Adidas spotted the missed chance and began showing genuine interest in signing Caitlin. Talk was circulating of a $30 million deal on the table. Can you fathom Nike, the largest sports brand on earth, possibly losing one of its brightest basketball stars to its competitor, Adidas? Things got intense, but the truly astonishing part was this whole timeline. Caitlin was out there breaking records, becoming the first rookie ever to get a triple-double in WNBA history, and drawing millions of viewers each time she played, and still zip from Nike. No special shoe, no major campaigns, no recognition. It was peculiar. Fans were in disbelief. How could Nike, a firm known for being ahead of trends, be this slow to move? This takes us to the apology. After months of quiet, Nike abruptly recalled their $28 million contract with Caitlin Clark. And how did they compensate for the delay? By hoisting a giant banner of her at the Indiana Fever Arena. Now don't misunderstand, that is a major step. It is a public show of support that is difficult to ignore, but to many fans it felt like too little and way too late. So what was the actual motive for this abrupt change of pace? Well, in my opinion, it has everything to do with Adidas's actions. Once Adidas began showing interest, Nike was forced to up its game. They could not risk losing Caitlin to a rival, particularly after inking such a massive deal with her. But is it a true apology, or just Nike trying to save face? That is the million-dollar question, or maybe the $28 million one. From an outsider's view, it looks like Nike only began to care about Caitlin after Adidas got interested. If that's so, then this is hardly an apology. It's crisis management. And the reality is, Caitlin Clark is worthy of so much more than a banner. She is not just some other basketball player. She is a sensation. Her rookie season wasn't merely good. It was groundbreaking. She topped all rookies in points, assists, steals, and minutes. She was the first rookie in WNBA history with a triple-double. Her games were pulling in over 1 million viewers on average. That is not typical. That is a once-in-a-generation talent. So why wasn't Nike marketing her like the superstar she is? Let's be honest here. Nike is an expert at marketing athletes. They have done it for decades. Consider LeBron James. When he joined the NBA, Nike was all about him. They had a signature shoe prepared from his first day. They promoted his name everywhere, and it was a huge success. So why not do likewise for Caitlin? While many believe it's because Nike was concentrating on promoting other stars like Aja Wilson, who is already a recognized name in women's basketball, there is even chatter that Nike did not want to give Caitlin a signature shoe before Aja for fear of the optics. But that hardly makes any sense, does it? Why not promote them both? It is not as if Nike is short on resources. The strangest thing in all of this is that Nike has been entirely silent regarding Caitlin's signature shoe. It was meant to be in her $28 million deal, yet we have seen zero updates or launch dates. Speculation is swirling that her signature shoe may not even release until That is unbelievable. 2026, that is an eternity in the sports world. By that point, who can say how many more records Caitlin will have shattered? It simply doesn't compute, and we can't forget the fan. Caitlin Clark's supporters have been outspoken from day one, calling out Nike for fumbling the ball on this. Social media was alight with questions, and sports analysts were confused. Everyone wondered why Nike wasn't doing more to bring Caitlin into the spotlight. This is not just about moving shoes, it's about seizing a moment, and Nike seemingly missed its chance. But then Adidas arrived. They understood the potential and were willing to bet big on Caitlin. It wasn't only a matter of money either. Adidas saw what Caitlin offers, not just as a player but as a brand. She's a total game changer, plain and simple, and Adidas wanted a part of that. It's almost as if they saw Nike dropping the ball and decided, hey, let's seize this opening. So what's our current position? Well, Nike's banner is displayed, but will it be enough to stop Caitlin from jumping ship? Time alone will tell. But one thing is certain, this whole scenario has brought up major questions on how big brands handle women's sport. Are they truly committed or just offering empty promises when convenient? This is not about just one athlete and one brand. This is about a larger problem in sports. The way female athletes are promoted and backed compared to their male equivalent. Caitlin Clark is a perfect example of the massive potential within women's sports, and Nike has to wake up and see that. If they fail to, Adidas could just swoop in and grab Caitlin and all of that potential along with her. So Nike finally erected that huge banner of Caitlin Clark at Indiana Fever Arena, which looks like a way to say sorry after months of total silence. But let's delve into why this entire scenario is a way bigger issue than just a banner or a footwear contract. We're discussing a major shift in how firms like Nike and Adidas see women's sports, and crucially how they might be overlooking one of the greatest stars women's basketball has ever produced. Now, we should talk about Adidas. While Nike was staying quiet, Adidas did the reverse. They weren't just waiting, they recognized an opening and pursued it. Recall the speculation about Adidas offering Caitlin Clark a $30 million contract. Yeah, that wasn't a minor play for Adidas. It wasn't solely about outbidding Nike. It was about making a declaration. They perceived how much hype and notice Caitlin was generating for the WNBA, and they wanted a share of that activity. Adidas is known for capitalizing on big chances in sports, and Caitlin Clark was not an exception. They were aware she was not just one more play. She was attracting millions of viewers, breaking records constantly, and her fame was soaring. And remember, Adidas has a track record of making big plays like this. They were not about to let Nike just sit there and control the market unchallenged. But the thing is, while Adidas was preparing to maybe lure Caitlin from Nike, something much larger was unfolding in the women's sports world. Caitlin Clark wasn't only making news by herself, she was becoming an icon of how women's sports can attract just as much notice, or even more than men. Her games were breaking viewership records, her jersey sales were soaring, and fans were uniting behind her in a way we have not witnessed for a long time. That is why it is so astounding that Nike was not seizing this opportunity earlier. You must ask, what was on Nike's mind? They have seen this level of excitement before with athletes such as LeBron James, who had his own shoe ready the second he walked onto the court. But with Caitlin, they failed to act. Was it internal conflict? Were they holding off to promote their already known stars like Aja Wilson before letting Caitlin have her moment? It is tough to know for certain, but it's obvious they let a huge opportunity slip by. Fans did not ignore this either. Social media erupted with people demanding why Caitlin Clark wasn't receiving the focus she was due. People were calling out Nike, doubting if they were truly committed to women's sport. Because if Caitlin Clark can't land a commercial or a signature shoe after her kind of season, what does that imply about Nike's view of the WNBA and women's sports overall? This is where Adidas re-enters the conversation. They noted the void and aimed to fill it. By presenting Caitlin a $30 million contract, they weren't merely trying to beat Nike, they were trying to prove they were serious about women's sports. They were prepared to invest in Caitlin, not only because she is a phenomenal player, but because they saw the potential she had to boost their image. Adidas was thinking long-term, and it seemed they could just win. Now let's discuss Caitlin's effect on the WNBA. Her games were attracting over 1 million viewers on average, which is unprecedented for the league. She was not just shattering records, she was drawing attention to women's basketball in a manner no one had previously achieved. Her showing in the WNBA playoffs, though her team didn't go all the way, was still a major event. The data is clear. People desired to see Caitlin Clark play and were watching by the millions. That level of star power is rare, and Nike should have recognized it immediately, but it required Adidas showing interest for them to at last act. And even then, all we have seen is a banner. Don't misunderstand. The banner is neat, but where is the Caitlin Clark signature shoe? Where are the TV spots? Where is the huge marketing campaign you would anticipate for an athlete who just had one of the greatest rookie seasons in WNBA history? It is not just about Caitlin either. This entire situation highlights how women's sports are handled compared to men. If a male athlete had a season like Caitlin's, you can be sure there would have been commercials, shoes, and marketing campaigns all over. Yet for some reason, Caitlin Clark, despite being among the biggest names in basketball, was ignored. The question to ask is why? Is it because women's sports still don't command the same level of focus and respect as men's? Or is it because companies like Nike are still learning how to market female athletes at the same level as their male equivalents? Regardless, it's apparent that something must change. Caitlin Clark's saga is a signal that women's sports are growing, and brands that fail to see that will be left in the dust. Adidas saw it, and they are prepared to make a play. Nike, meanwhile, seems to be playing catch-up. They have one of the biggest names in women's basketball on their payroll, yet they've done next to nothing to promote her. It is exasperating, to put it mildly. So what is the next step? Will Caitlin stay with Nike, or will she accept that $30 million deal with Adidas? Only time can answer that, but one thing is certain, Nike must do more if they hope to keep her. A banner will not suffice. They must prove they are completely behind Caitlin Clark and are ready to invest in her the way Adidas evidently is. And we must not forget the fans. They have been outspoken from the beginning, calling out Nike for not giving Caitlin the notice she's earned. Social media has been filled with support for Caitlin, and it is obvious that people want to see more of her in commercials, in campaigns, and yes, with a signature shoe. Ultimately, this entire scenario has sparked a wider conversation about the marketing of women's sports. Caitlin Clark is one case, but there are countless other female athletes not getting the focus they are due. The hope is that companies like Nike will learn from this and begin to treat women's sports with the same respect and commitment as they do men's. So what is next for Caitlin Clark? Well, if she stays with Nike or moves to Adidas, one thing is clear. Her future is luminous. She's already established herself as one of the biggest stars in basketball, and her career is just beginning. Whichever brand signs her will have a superstar on its roster, and the fans will be watching with great interest. And Nike, well, they should hope that banner is not the final play they make, because Caitlin Clark is too big a star to be kept on the sidelines. So what's your take? Is Nike's massive banner of Caitlin Clark a sincere apology, or simply a final hour play to stop her from going to Adidas? Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. If you liked this analysis, please like and subscribe for more news on the latest in sports. Thank you for watching, and see you soon.